How many times have you ever gone to your local comic shop or maybe a convention, or you're just browsing online and you come across a key comic book and you can't believe just how cheap it is? So you break out your phone or maybe you're on your laptop and you look at past sales and you see that yes, this comic book is that cheap. That's what it sells for. But you're wondering, this is a pretty big key. How can it be so cheap? So in this video, we're going to go through a bunch of comic books that should actually be worth a lot more, but for some reason just aren't. So maybe it's actually a good time to pick them up. First is we got X-Force #2. This is the second appearance of Deadpool. Now a 9.8 CGC graded is going to run you about $48. Yes, that is it. Only $48 for the second appearance of Deadpool. Now I can go on and on how big of a character Deadpool is. Tons of money made from the movies, merchandising, video games, comics, you name it. But let's compare it to something else that's the second appearance of an also very popular character. Let's take Wolverine. Wolverine's first full appearance was in Hulk 181. So Hulk 181, Wolverine's first full appearance in a 9.8 is worth about $60,000. And then his second appearance, let's call it Hulk 182, you're looking at $4,000 for a 9.8. So that's roughly about 7% of the 9.8 price from a Hulk 181 to a Hulk 182. So we compare the same. Let's look at a New Mutants number 98, first appearance of Deadpool. It's going to run you about $1,100 in a 9.8. So what is 7-ish% of that? That's $77. So if you think about it's the same, then it should be about $77 for your X-Force #2 second appearance of Deadpool. Hulk 367 and 369. Now what's so special about these books? Dale Known was a very popular artist in the 90s, and his most popular character was the Hulk. And he was very good at drawing the Hulk. And anytime you come across his art, it goes for way, way more just because people love Dale Known's Hulk drawings. So that was the first time he ever drew the Hulk. He didn't draw the cover in 67, but in 369, he did actually start doing the covers for The Incredible Hulk. A 9.8 is going to run you about $72, and then for the 369, it's going to run you about $90. But let's compare that to other artists on their first time doing their character or a series that was very, very popular. Jim Lee, known for the X-Men over at Marvel, his first time doing the X-Men was X-Men 248. What does that go for in a 9.8? $100. McFarlane, known for Spider-Man, when did he first start on the series? $298. What does that go for in a 9.8? $500. And then we can go back to Frank Miller. First time he started doing Daredevil was in Daredevil 158. What does that go for? $900 in a 9.8. So Dale Known's worth way less. So that I think it should actually bump up to significantly more. Now Venom first fully appeared in Spider-Man 300, but he had a cameo in 299. Now in a 9.8, that is going for $360, and it should be worth a lot more. Because let's compare it to something very similar. Let's compare it to a Hulk 181 versus a 180, because a 180 is a cameo of Wolverine. Hulk 181 in a 9.8 goes for $60,000. A 180 in a 9.8 goes for $15,000. So that is 25% of a 181. By that math, we should go 25% of a Spider-Man 300. What does a Spider-Man 300 go for? $2,500. 25% is going to be $625. Spider-Man 299 should be much higher. Flaming Carrot number 27. Now what's so special about this book? This is the first and only time Todd McFarlane ever drew the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A 9.8 is going to run you about $300. For something such a big character like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Todd McFarlane, something like this, and he's never drawn them ever again. This was the only time. This book should be worth a lot more. And on Flaming Carrot, it's not like this had a huge high print run. So if you can get yourself one, honestly, this should be selling for much, much more than it is. Special Marvel Edition number 15. First appearance of Shang-Chi. A 9.8 is going to run you about $2,300. Now, if you factor in a lot of things, like he had his own movie, probably more movies to come. He's been in probably video games, TV shows, cartoons, all that kind of stuff. His own series also lasted for a very, very long time and has been rebooted multiple times since. For something like that, for a big character such as Shang-Chi is, for going for $2,300 in a 9.8, and especially having that black cover, which is always hard to get a high grade in that black cover, it should be going for a lot more. Now, during the comic boom, it went sky high. up to like 10, 15,000 for a 9.8 and it's dropped. I think it's dropped way too low now and it should be worth more than it is now. Punisher #1. This is the one from 1987. This is his first ongoing series. He did have Punisher 1 Limited prior, but that was only a few issues. This one was his ongoing series. In a 9.8, it's going to run you about $180. So we have almost a direct comparison if we go Wolverine Limited series versus the Wolverine ongoing series, and they came out around the same time. So let's compare. Wolverine Limited #1 in a 9.8 is going to run you about $550. Wolverine #1 in his ongoing series is going to run you about $250 in a 9.8. So that's about 60% of what the limited series. So what does a limited series of Punisher #1 go for? Punisher #1 Limited goes for about $550. So if you did 60% of that, you're looking at about $330. But the comic is selling for $180, so it should be worth much more. Marvel graphic novel #4. First appearance of the New Mutants. A 9.8 is going to run you about $540. Now for something that's had such an ongoing series as the New Mutants, also had its own movie, which I don't know if anyone watched, going for $540, black cover, more obscure because it's a graphic novel, it wasn't just a normal comic book. Usually the bigger ones are harder to get in high grade. For $540, that just seems much too low. Batman 497, classic Batman getting his back broken. And a 9.8, this will run you about $60. If you think back during the 90s, especially with DC, there was a couple storylines that were massive. The biggest storyline, obviously, was the death of Superman. But close to was Batman getting his back broken. Now everyone knows the classic scene of Bane breaking Batman's back. And that was right on the cover. But if we compare it to the death of Superman, let's take Superman 75. That is the one with the death of Superman. A 9.8 is going to run you $160. Compare that to Batman 497, only selling for $60. I'm not saying it's on par with the death of Superman, but the death of Superman, Superman 75, it sold way more copies. There's way more out there, much higher supply. But for breaking Batman's back, a very pivotal story in the 90s, yeah, it's just way too low. It should be much higher than it is. The Boys #1, a 9.8 is going to run you about $300. That seems much too low if you compare it to something similar. Let's go with Invincible. Both similar, independent, came out roughly close to the same time. Now, Invincible, more popular character in the comic books, but if you go in terms of streaming numbers, The Boys TV show ranked #1 at one point in streaming. The highest that Invincible ever ranked was #7. Invincible #1 in a 9.8 is going to run you about $5,000. Compare that just to the $300 that The Boys is going to run you. Now, Invincible did have a lower print run. It had a print run of 11,000, while The Boys had a print run of 31,000. So you have to take that into factor. But given the fact that The Boys is a very popular TV show, it shouldn't be only $300. It should be much, much, much higher. I'm not saying it's supposed to be $5,000 that Invincible 1 is, but it should be probably closer to the high hundreds to maybe even cracking that 1,000. Avengers 684, first appearance of the Immortal Hulk. A 9.8 is going to run you $55. Now, for such a great iconic series as Immortal Hulk run, to be going for slightly above case cost, which is the cost to get a book graded, sent it back to you, shipping and insurance and all that kind of stuff, that seems much, much too low. This book, in my opinion, should be hitting the near $100 mark, if not slightly more. Alpha Flight 51. First professional work from Jim Lee. This one in a 9.8 goes for about $125, which this seems much too low, much too low. If you compare that to Todd McFarlane, which I would put them close to the same, his first professional work was in Coyote #11. He didn't do the cover, just in the interior, just like Jim Lee did in Alpha Flight 51. He didn't do the cover, the interior. Coyote #11 sells for $250 in a 9.8. Jim Lee's sells for half that, and Jim Lee is very, very popular. He's even the president of DC Comics. So in my opinion, this book should be $200 to $250 as well. Now this one always bugged me and I never quite understood it. Sergeant Fury #1, the first appearance of Nick Fury. Now if we take a 6.0, because we're not going to take a 9.8, it's going to run you about $1,500. Now, this is a Marvel staple, especially during the Silver Age. It ran from like 1963 for a very, very long time. I mean, he's been in multiple movies, even had his own movie. You may not remember it. It's like the late 90s. David Hasselhoff played Nick Fury in a TV movie. So I never understood why this Silver Age key was so much cheaper than the rest. So now, obviously, during this time, it's not going to compare to like a Hulk 1, a Spider-Man 1, Tailspin's 39, X-Men 1. But if we take some of the smaller characters and compare it just in price, it just baffles me. It's how cheap this one is. So 1 year prior, we had Tales of the Astonished, number 27. First appearance of Hank Pym. Not even the first appearance of Ant-Man. That didn't appear until number 35. For the same grade, in 6.0, it's going to run you about $7,000 for the first Ant-Man. Okay, what about Strange Tales 110? Came out the same year. First, Doctor Strange. That's going to run you $3,200, so a little over double. Let's compare it to Daredevil. Daredevil number 1 is going to run you about $4,000 in the same grade. So to me, Sergeant Fury being so low just doesn't really make sense. It should be worth much more, especially that Silver Age key mid-grade. It's only $1,500. Excalibur Special number 1. First appearance of Excalibur. This one is only going to run you about $60 in a 9.8, considering that this lasted over 100 issues, and it's only going for the first appearance, $60, slightly above case cost. This is also from the 80s. It wasn't as high a print run as it was from comics in the 90s, and it's still only $60. To me, it should be going much higher than that. And then last on my list is we got Eternals number 1. Now in a 9.8, this is selling for $313, and this is still too high. Still too high. I'm joking. You know how I joke about the Eternals. But anyways, that is it. Let me know if there's any books that you think of that should be worth a lot more and you're always so surprised at what it's actually selling for. Have a great day.